I want people to be happy and feel good about themselves. But I also noticed until this drug became part of the mainstream, we were working so hard on accepting bodies of all shapes and sizes and ages. It just took a systemic issue that we were working on. We don't have to work on that anymore. It's another way to separate communities economically from each other. So now you're seeing another class of people able to achieve this standard of beauty that we have been trying to tell ourselves doesn't exist.
You're perfect the way you are, but you'd be more perfect if you just took this drug.
Take this and you'll be skinny because skinny's better no matter what. And by the way, I feel that way because I was brought up to feel that way because we did talk about weight in my house. I'm an only child and my mother was never not on a diet. She was never not trying to lose weight. That's in my cells of my body. I can look at myself in the mirror and I have two very different feelings about what I see in it. Like, you are fat and old, and the you look fucking awesome. You look great. And so maybe you have to buy a bigger size of jeans, but that is okay.
Before we dive into today's episode, I'm going to ask you to do something very quick, very easy, but super helpful. I'm going to ask you to hit the subscribe button. You see it? Go get it. Hit the subscribe button. It just takes a second, but it means a lot to us. You have probably noticed from all of the comments that we get, many people find that listening to MBB regularly is helping them feel happier, healthier, more inspired. And you know what? That actually is why we are doing this. It makes my heart swell to hear that so many of you are feeling inspired. So subscribing to this show, whether you're listening on YouTube or whether you're listening to it through a podcast app, it's the easiest way to ensure that you will never miss an episode. So we don't want you to miss a single one, and you don't want to miss a single one. So you'll get notified as soon as a new episode drops. All you have to do is subscribe and share this episode with someone if you enjoy it. We're trying to spread the word. Help us do that. The best way to support our show is by subscribing. So do it now. Thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate you. Let's get back to the good stuff. Hi, I'm Mayim Bialik.
I'm Jonathan Cohen.
And welcome to our breakdown.
We have a fun one today.
We've got a really fun one today. It would take me forever to read the bio of the actress that we're going to be talking to today. But I have to say, it's the hardest we've laughed. It's the hardest Valerie and Olivia have laughed. I could even tell from the back of Olivia that she was laughing hard. We're going to be talking to Judy Greer, and we're going to talk to her about acting. You probably know her from, 13 going on 30, Arrested Development. I loved her in Ant-Man. She's also in The Descendants. She was in an episode of Big Bang Theory. But Judy's going to open up about menopause, about sobriety, about beauty, about aging.
About acting.
Her choice of her movie that's coming out April 4th, Eric LaRue. This is a really funny, fantastic conversation about so many aspects, honestly, of the human experience, that even though she's an actress who has over 200 credits to her name, she goes through a lot of the same things that so many of us think about and are experiencing, but has a really, really great lens to frame it. It's such a pleasure to welcome in person, Judy Greer.
Break it down.
Welcome to the Breakdown. Thanks for being here in person. That's
so
fun.
Happy to be here in person.
We have a funny story to tell you.
Oh.
About minutes before you got here.
The very first time this has ever happened.
This is the very first time this ever happened. So I was waiting for you because we're very excited. And I was like, she's going to be here. And I want someone by the door. And
I was late.
No, but wait for it.
Okay.
Someone else was on time for what they thought was their recording time today.
Was it a man?
It was.
Because I saw
Yes.
the man.
It was a man. It was a famous man.
I thought the man looked familiar.
So the man was a famous man, but
Is he still famous?
he's still famous. But what I'm going to say is, I think, even funnier and shows that the brain just wants to recognize patterns. Because as I stood at the top of the driveway waiting for Judy Greer, what I saw was a man, and my brain was like, did Judy cut her hair? Wait for it. Then I was like, Judy's looking, sorry, Judy's looking a little masculine.
I need to look at our notes for today.
Wait for it. Judy looks a hell of a lot like Wil Wheaton. And it was Wil Wheaton who...
Yes, it was. Yeah.
we're recording with Wil Wheaton a different day, but Wil Wheaton thought that he was recording right now. But just the fact that that's where my brain went. I wasn't like, why is Wil Wheaton here? He must have the day wrong. I was like,
No.
Judy Greer must have really changed since I saw
Judy
her
looks
last.
so much like Wil Wheaton. Oh my God. That's so funny because I thought I saw him. I saw him come and go because I parked farther up the street.
It wasn't his turn. It's your turn.
I know what kind of car he drives. If you guys want to know, I can totally out him.
He was also like, I have to get out of here because he's such a big Judy Greer fan. He was going to get crazy.
He said, you won't like what happens to Wil Wheaton in front of Judy Greer, which is like a little bit of a Hulk reference.
Well, he's not probably much of a fan anymore because I was eating a cookie, carrying a giant bag of water, huffing and puffing. We could have had a double.
That's
A
what I
two
said.
for
That's what,
one.
when I realized what was happening, that's what I shouted, like, Wil Wheaton's here, not Judy Greer. And they were like, let's do it together. I was like, no, that's...
Oh my God.
Worlds
What's he
colliding.
going to do now? He's got
He
2
lives
hours.
close.
For, oh.
He lives close. He lives close.
Wow.
And he will come back another day. But Jonathan was like, that's where your brain went? I said, yeah.
That
Judy
Judy
Greer's
looks like-
must have gotten a haircut. She's looking a little masculine. And she looks
Yeah.
a hell of a lot like Wil Wheaton.
Maybe, there's...
You don't look anything like Wil Wheaton. by the way.
No.
We could probably play siblings, though, don't you think?
No.
No?
Sorry, it's so weird.
That's...
We're glad you're here.
I feel like, though, here's what I think might need to happen is that I might need to show up on his day.
Oh my God. That would be
And then
amazing.
like, what's up?
Next Tuesday if you're free.
That would-
Because that would be hilarious.
we could FaceTime you in, just like to say hello. I
I want to get his reaction. I want to see what happens.
Oh,
Well, he saw me. I saw him. I just was like spacing out because I had to.
he has not
Anyway.
texted me about it because he probably doesn't want to bother me while we're recording. But I'm sure
Recording.
he'll text me later and be like, I saw her.
Oh my God.
What would have been funnier is if Judy Greer showed up on Wil Wheaton Day, and would my brain have said, Will grew
looks
his
like-
hair.
Yeah, Will looks like Judy Greer. I don't know. I don't know. We'll never know,
I mean,
actually. Because now do you feel like, even though this happened one time, will you always be wondering if it's the right person when they walk up
yeah,
the driveway? Will you always be like, I need to brace myself?
because it could be Wil Wheaton.
It could be Wil Wheaton or anyone else. Like the one thing that happens becomes the thing that always happens.
Yes.
But it only happened once.
But this would be certainly an unusual one.
yeah.
I mean, the sliding doors moment for me is, did the universe bring us together to do a combo podcast, and
Right.
we turned that gift
We
away?
could have broken the internet with Judy Greer and Wil Wheaton
It's
in
just
one
an
room.
unexpected pairing. Like, no one would have been like, how do we bring these two people together?
I don't feel like it's that unexpected. I feel like Will and we're destined to meet, and it's not today. But it's going to happen. And we're both going to have some funny story to tell each other.
I mean, if you would have
when we
been
meet.
if you would have been 3 minutes earlier and he would have been 2 minutes later in his arrival, he's always on time.
Right.
Like he's a very no, he's
Wow, that's
no,
that was a,
that's
that
not
was,
what I meant.
That was a hard cut.
No, no. What I meant was like Will prides himself on like being very punctual.
Yeah.
But like if he had just been like a couple minutes late, it would
Right,
have happened.
it would- I also, believe it or not, pride myself on being somewhat punctual. However, on a long form podcast without any food in my belly, I think I would have fainted. And
So are we surviving on your gas station cookie right now?
16 grams of protein in that Bob cookie. By the way, I was so happy that he had that because it could have been a Snickers bar, but I wouldn't have had a Snickers bar. But like
Or a hard-boiled egg?
from a gas
Sometimes they have
station.
the hard-boiled egg.
No one can afford those anymore. What are you talking about? You're crazy.
Not even
what
the
is
gas
this, Bel
station.
Air? What are we? What are we? The 1% buying eggs?
At
Insanity.
a gas station.
At a
Yeah.
gas station, no less.
That or the gas
Do you think that
station.
was the first place that
It's a
eggs
pickle
went?
and an egg.
Where they were like, no more eggs. No one buys them anyway. And now we can't afford them.
I think the eggs that weren't getting used up from the supermarket are
That's where they
repackaged
end
and
up.
sent to the gas station in little Ziploc baggies.
And if not the egg, it could have been the hot dog that has been there for a week and a
I
half.
saw that
The
hot
rotating
dog.
wiener.
I saw that hot dog.
Or pickle in a bag, which I think is a big upgrade.
Have you ever had one?
I have had a pickle in a bag. Disappointing.
Really?
Yeah.
In
I've
what
also
way?
had the
It seems like the pickle juice would just spill everywhere. Do you dump it first? How do you do it?
no, you just got to sort of do like a balancing act. Then you dump it. But it's kind of like the packages of olives too, you know? It's like, it gets like It's mushy. It's not
Yeah.
right.
What motivated you to get that pickle in a bag?
Well, funny you should ask. My favorite food.
Salt.
My favorite food is pickles. Pickled anything. Not anything. I don't love pickled cauliflower. I'll just say it right now.
Really?
I love pickles.
Okay.
I love all kinds of pickles.
Yeah, but like when Judy
So
Greer...
the gas station.
Yeah, but Judy Greer is going to the gas station and she's getting food because like she needs that 16 grams of protein to
Oh,
hold
that's
you
not
over.
what a pickle does.
No.
You're going to the gas station just for like a little treat?
A snackaroo. Well, instead of potato chips, it satisfies the salt desire.
I worked with one nutrition helper once who told me to eat pickles instead of potato chips. I have 2 more things to say about pickles. That was 1, so 3 total. 2 is that my husband grows cucumbers and makes refrigerator pickles.
Interesting.
And they're not in bags.
They're not in bags. We reuse
Sliced or whole? Or speared?
The
Speared.
spears.
Do they have do they have the 45-degree angle? Like it's like a real spear?
I don't think so.
Okay.
But they have
I'm just
angles,
asking.
but I'm
Okay.
not going to go 45 degrees.
Okay, got it. Okay, so
And cucumbers that you grow to make pickles are ugly,
yeah.
and they have a lot of like skin tags on them.
Barnacles.
Yeah, barnacles. Better word. And so, yes, but he's really proud of his pickles. He even printed up stickers to put on and we give them away a lot. Second, so that was 2. And then 3 is, have you been, when in New York City, to Pickle City Books? On the Lower
Yes.
East Side,
Yes.
there's a bookstore
Years ago.
where it's still there.
Yeah.
I found it. I found it. Just kidding. It's still there. But I accidentally walked by it and I was like, oh, my husband would love this. And then I went back with him to New York City and took him there. But if you give them books for free, they will give you a jar of pickles. And we went on our second from our last day there. So we didn't take them up on that because of not wanting to waste the pickles, because that's a lot of pickles to eat in one night. Although it
Says
could be
you,
done.
Judy.
Says me, not says you or my husband. But yeah, so Pickle City Books is the best pickle bookstore in, I think they claim to be in New York City, the best pickle bookstore in New York City, which then led us around the corner to the pickle, like there's a pickle store around the corner because they sent us there at Pickle City Books. And then we there's, they have
Vats,
and so we
barrels.
got those vats of we each picked a pickle. And they were so nice. They were closing and they was like, you can just have them. And I'm like, whoa.
What kind of pickles does he make? Does he make like a classic dill? Does he do them spicy?
It's a dill. It's a spicy dill. He puts jalapenos in.
Oh, wow.
They're spicy.
That is not a Jewish pickle.
No.
It just became
It's
a
also-
Gentile pickle.
It is also not a Midwestern pickle.
That's true.
It is not for me.
Yeah.
Speaking of city pickles, the bookstore, when it claims to be the best pickle bookstore in the city,
Are there
Yeah.
what's the
others?
competition?
Well, I think that's
That
the joke.
Yep.
Although maybe there's another one.
I
don't
I would
think
like
so.
to believe that there are 2 or 3 other smaller
No.
mom and pop pickle
I just had the
bookstores that
best
just can't
idea.
compete.
Do we feel like Wil Wheaton would want in on this? Because the 4 of us we could start our own pickle bookstore.
He would love that.
Yeah.
Sounds
We
like
could
a
do it
very
right
Wil
here in the
thing.
valley. We're in the valley. Yeah, so that's my 3. Those are my 3
Those are your pickle facts.
Yeah.
I have a funny pickle fact. I mean, if I had known.
You should have brought your husband's pickle
Oh,
brand
don't
to
worry.
promote.
There will be some dropped off when it's time.
When it's time.
Right
when,
now,
when
the
they're ready
pickle
for
garden
birthing.
is growing romaine, but when the
Not good
cucumbers, when the cucumbers go back in, definitely
Oh, I would love some.
you're getting them.
Mayim and Bialik's Breakdown is supported by the official Big Bang Theory podcast.
Wow, it is such a thrill to get to talk about the official Big Bang Theory podcast. Obviously, I was part of the Big Bang Theory for almost a decade of my life and enjoyed my time there, learned so much, grew so much. And this podcast is all about the Big Bang Theory, the official Big Bang Theory podcast. You get an exclusive behind the scenes look at each episode of the hit show, starting with the unaired pilot. Maybe you didn't even know there was an unaired pilot. The host is Jessica Radloff, author of the New York Times bestselling book about the TV show and a huge friend friend of The Big Bang Theory. She's joined each week by amazing guests, like the show's co-creator Chuck Lorre, director Jim Burrows, cast members like Kunal, who plays Raj, Kevin Sussman, who played Stewart, John Ross Bowie, who played Barry, all three of whom we've had on MDB. You'll hear how the show came to be, backstage secrets, the process of character development, and so much more. There are so many things you do not know about The Big Bang Theory. You do not want to miss this podcast. It starts with season 1 and 2. That's before my character Amy joined in season 3. So we will all have some fun reflecting back on those early seasons. Listen to the official Big Bang Theory podcast on Max or wherever you get your podcasts.
And stream episodes of The Big Bang Theory on Max.
If you've listened to me for any amount of time, you know that I love my cats more than I can even express. And I would do anything to keep them as happy and healthy as possible.
Today's episode is sponsored by the ASPCA Pet Health Insurance Program.
Your pet's part of your family, and you want the best for them no matter what. But I can tell you from experience, vet bills can really add up. That's why you should check out pet insurance. And with ASPCA Pet Health Insurance, you can focus on the care your pet deserves and cover what matters most. The ASPCA Pet Health Insurance Program offers customizable accident and illness plans, makes it easier for pet parents like you to help your pet get the care they may need. The ASPCA Pet Health Insurance Program has been around for over 18 years. They've helped more than 600,000 pets during that time. They allow you to customize your plan, helping ensure that your pet's plan is as unique as they are, because vet bills can really add up, especially when you're least expecting it. It's simple. Use their app to submit a claim, and you'll receive reimbursement for eligible vet bills directly into your bank account.
To explore coverage, visit aspcapetinsurance.com/break. That's aspcapetinsurance.com/break. Again, that's
aspcapetinsurance.com/break. This is a paid advertisement. Insurance is underwritten by either Independence American Insurance Company or United States Fire Insurance Company and produced by PTZ Insurance Agency Limited. The ASPCA is not an insurer and is not engaged in the business of insurance.
Mayim Bialik's Breakdown is supported by Calm.
There's a lot happening these days. It can feel especially stressful or hopeless when things are outside of our control, but Calm can help you restore your sense of balance amidst outside chaos. Calm helps me with the big 3: anxiety, stress, and sleep problems. Their meditations can help untangle the day's chaos in your brain. And did you know breath has a direct link to your anxiety? I feel more at ease and in my body after easy and helpful breathing exercises. Calm is the #1 app for sleep and meditation, giving you the power to calm your mind and change your life. Everyone faces unique challenges in their daily lives. Mental health is not about a cookie-cutter approach. That's why Calm offers a wide range of content and programs to help you navigate life's ups and downs, including meditations to help you work through anxiety and stress, boost your focus, build healthier habits, and take better care of your physical well-being. There's also sleep stories. Jonathan loves a sleep story. Sleep meditations, calming music that help you drift off to restful sleep quickly and naturally. Also grounding exercises if you're feeling overwhelmed. These short guided sessions use sensation, movement, and breath work to help you relax and reset. There's also expert-led talks to help you handle grief, improve self-esteem, care for relationships, and so much more. Calm puts the tools you need right in your pocket and can help you dedicate just a few minutes each day to live a happier, healthier life.
Stress less, sleep more, and live better with Calm. For listeners of our show, Calm is offering an exclusive 40% off a Calm premium subscription at calm.com/break. Go to
calm.com/break for 40% off unlimited access to Calm's entire library. That's calm.com/break.
In my family, there's a Heinz pickle pin that has been passed down. I'm the second generation. I don't know why my mother had a Heinz pickle pin, but she's a quirky dresser and kind of a funky New York lady. And it's been passed down. I have a Heinz pickle pin. It looks like a pickle and it says Heinz. And it's like a plastic, weird little pickle pin.
This goes back to that question you asked me
You
the
know
other
what,
day.
Jonathan? Jonathan thinks I'm special because I have quirky things that I like.
That does make her special.
I have a collection of feathers and he thinks that's inappropriate.
No, I
What
don't
do you
think
use
so.
them for?
What do you use your feathers for?
Do you have to use them for something to
Some
make it
people
not
use-
weird?
No.
Okay.
Maybe.
Like if I were
Wait, no.
if I were
Yes.
if I were waving sage, you could use a feather for that, but that's not
Oh.
what I do that for.
Do you use them at all or do you just look at them?
I like them.
That's nice.
It's
I
a
think that's nice.
collection.
Yeah, yeah.
She
Yeah.
is a collection of animal bones.
Oh, that's different too. Okay. I mean, in a way, a feather is sort of like an outside animal bone.
That's right.
I don't think there's anything wrong with it. We had a gentleman on who had a very unique brain. He can
He's a
recite
professor.
50,000 digits of pi.
Oh, yeah.
That
guy.
kind of special. Yeah.
I think I've heard of this guy.
There's many of them.
Okay, then I've heard of guys.
You've heard of guys.
He just has facts. He can pull any fact up. He has just an amazing memory, amazing brain. He's a magician, does magic tricks. He's a plethora of skills. And Mayim and I were reflecting on the uniqueness of the conversation, and she turns to me over a meal and she says, do you know anyone like that? And I just kind of look at her and smile. And she was shocked.
How many
I can't do
guys-
any digits. 3.14. That's it.
Dot.
I stop there.
It's a different special.
Yeah.
There's different specialties. You still have a very special brain. But apparently...
Is this an intervention?
Well, it's time. He was early.
I do.
I told him
He
to
left
wait. I told him
before-
not to come up until I parked my car. And yet...
We were so close to making a difference.
Ugh.
I do have a special brain, but you know what?
You do have a very special brain.
This
You should see her read a book.
Let's do it.
no.
We
Stop it.
We could time her. It's like
No.
this. It's
Really?
like she sits down
No,
and
that's-
she's like,
I think he's exaggerating. No.
Yeah.
Wait, what's...
Okay, yes, I understand this. Oh, that makes total sense based on the framework. 15 minutes later, she's done the book with dog ears, quotes, memorized passages. And she's like, Jonathan, let me tell you all about it. I'm like, I joke. I just have to wave it in front of her.
He's
and
exaggerating a little bit.
I'm so jealous.
I have-
only slightly, though.
Do you have a photographic memory?
So I have
You can stop.
I
Do
ha-
you what's your retention like?
Very high.
Fuck.
well for
Oops,
certain
can I
certain
swear?
things you
Yeah.
can. For
Um,
certain
Just
things.
not in the cold open.
For certain things.
Are we
I mean,
still in the
I-
cold open? Okay, good. You have retention. Okay, so I am a fast reader. I don't have a special brain. My retention is poo covered in pee.
Okay.
Like I read so fast I get so excited and then it's just all gone. It's
What
like
about scripts, though?
vapors.
But what if you read
Same.
more slowly? Does it stay more, or is it the speed, or
I
that's just...
could maybe try. My husband is dyslexic and he reads very slowly and he remembers so well everything.
I'm the same way,
Samesies.
yeah.
Okay. So, and he remembers so much, his retention is so much better than mine, I think because he reads really slowly. And I'll just like race through a book and I'm like, it was the greatest. I'm sobbing. It was so good. On to the next. But it's like gone. And then he'll read the same book and be like, oh my gosh, when the brothers were fighting in their bedroom. And I'm like, no idea what you're talking about. He's
little bit
currently
that's-
reading The Bee Sting by Paul
Oh.
Murray, which I read like a year and a half ago, not to brag. But he's like, oh, the beginning with the sisters and the teenage girl, not the sisters, the teenage girl and her friend. And I'm like, oh, that seems like a part I would have liked.
I'm curious. I'm fascinated by this area because, like, do you remember the emotion that you felt around the book? So, like, that's what sticks with you.
Yes, the emotion sticks. I feel like I interrupted you.
No.
But
Well, I was thinking about scripts because we have to memorize those and hold them for a distinct amount of time.
like 7 to 10 hours.
It's too much for you.
Gone. Just gone.
Do you prep a script beforehand? Or are you
No,
like
but
an
I
on the
w-
day when they give you the sides?
It depends on, well, now at my advanced age, I must prepare in a way that I used to be able to get away with not. Because of being a lady, I'm in hair and makeup for like about 5 hours in the morning. But I go and sit in hair and makeup for like 1.5 to 2 hours. So that used to be plenty of time. And I would just like learn my lines because you're really looking at like 5 to 10 pages a day. And so much of it's stage direction. So
Right.
it's like really when you really get down to it.
Right. And unless there's something like a monologue or something like that, it's dialogue. So
dialogue.
people are always like, how do you memorize it? I'm like, I don't know. It's
because
like a conversation.
he's asking me like
right?
where his keys are, and I'm like, they're on the fucking table, dude. Like that's an easy line to memorize. But also, I think it's okay to say this that when things are well written, you memorize them like boom. And so, like I think when things are not as well written or they're a little clunky,
Right.
I do have to memorize. However, that being said, it's just getting to a point now I feel like safer if I
Hmm.
work on it ahead of time.
Can you talk a little bit about this? We're the same age, and I've just noticed that.
Lucky.
Yeah, I've just noticed that things that used to come easy to me, just all of a sudden don't.
Like being happy.
Right.
It was so easy to be happy. And now, yes, continue.
So, the process of the transition from not being in menopause to being in menopause is called perimenopause.
Yes.
And to me, this is one of those things that I wish someone would have told me a lot earlier. There's going to be 10 years of your life that's just like kind of a crapshoot.
I know.
Every organ system might just do something completely insane.
Oh, it's great.
And you will hate yourself for everything happening on the daily. No one told me these 10 years were coming. So depending on where you are in it, and also some people are on hormones, some people are not on hormones. Hormones. So have you noticed a difference? Because we've had
huge difference. I was listening to your Dr. Haver episode because I'm obsessed with this stuff. Yes, hormones are kick-ass. If you can take them, I highly recommend. And yes, it is like shitty that we go through this, that our medical, like the practitioners that we see, whether it's like gynecologists, OBGYNs, GPs, like that no one is educated in this. And I'm not gonna like regurgitate everything she said, but because people should listen to the episode you had of her because it's fucking awesome. But also, it's crazy when I was listening to her on here and thinking that she's like, yeah, I just started like 3 years ago, like learning about this stuff. And I'm like, what? Anyway, but yeah, I did feel like everything was crazy. I felt I had all of these symptoms and I didn't know what they were. And one of them was like brain fog, not being able to be good at the same things I used to be good at. And
you just thought, I'm just getting old and it's over.
I just thought I was like going through depression, actually. Like I thought that maybe I was like starting to like toe dip into mental illness and thinking about like things I've heard my mom say and things I've witnessed her like experience and go through and everything. I was like, maybe that's in our family a little bit. She doesn't have that, but I don't know. Like sometimes she just seems really sad and then sometimes she's really happy. And I was like, I don't know. So I thought all those things were happening because nobody talks about it.
Right.
And when I would say like, I'm feeling really sad, and my sweet GP who I love, and I've been seeing him forever, and he was like, well, maybe we could do like a low dose of Prozac. And I was like, ooh, am I that sad? And then I'm like, I feel crazy, I say to my gynecologist. And she's like, well, let's get you back on the pill. And I'm like, oh, really? Like I have to go back on that? So that's how I felt. And then a lot of it I felt was manifesting in like my workplace because there was even just a level of confidence I felt like I lost. Like even being in a conversation like at Video Village and like not remembering the word that I wanted to say and feeling like really self-conscious about it. And then just like deciding not to engage in those conversations like anymore, which changes my lifestyle because I'm usually pretty like, I like to socialize at work and I like to talk to people and I like to make friends with the crew and all the people around. And so then if I'm like limiting that because I'm afraid of like just forgetting the word for vacuum, like then that it sucks and it made me feel sad.
What do you think happened? I'm sort of fascinated with the fact that like this isn't a new thing. Like this transition that women go through, this isn't a new thing. And yeah, women didn't used to live till 90, but it's been a minute that we've been living through this. What do you think women's experience used to be? Like I'm just thinking of like my grandma's.
I think there is a statistic I will never remember because I read too fast about the amount of women who leave the workplace at this age
or get divorced
or go on Prozac
or the worst case scenario obviously is the suicide rate for women between 45 and 55. And so like I think that's what they did. I think they quit their jobs and some people
or they were just miserable at home.
They were miserable at home. They got divorced. They quit their jobs. They, worst case scenario, I don't, but like that's not really, that's like a non-answer answer because I don't know what they did. I think they just like suffered through it. I think they just suffered through it.
Right. And I was like, we always talk about how like our notion, I mean, I'm thinking about my mom's experience when she was my age, when that felt like she was 80, right? Like when we're in our teens or 20s, right? And yeah, maybe she was like going through something and instead it just seemed like she was mad all the time.
Yes. Not to throw my mom under the bus, but yes, it seemed like she was like mad or going crazy. But like you also can't, I don't think that you can separate this from the fact that we are, including like, we are at our mother's age now, like constantly being shown pictures of people all the time on social media and on computers. Now, our mothers went through this change without access to the fucking internet. So while that can be a problem in the sense that they're not getting like weird medical advice online, which can be good and bad, they're also not seeing pictures of women that are skinny and selling drugs to them and gummies that will make them have a flat belly if they eat 3 of them a day and like all this shit. So it's like, I think there was like, if you're in more of like an insulated community of women and you're all going through this, and yes, no one's talking about it, but like you're all kind of gaining 10 pounds and you're all getting tired and you're all getting crabby and you're all complaining about your husband and you're all complaining about your kids and you're all like confused and like, oh yeah, we're all just like feeling this way, but you're not being shown like another option and you're not like thinking like, well, it should be that, or I should look like that, or I should want that. So maybe they were actually happier because they weren't on social media being bombarded with like, oh, I could be skinnier, I could be happier, I could look like I'm 30.
And there also, I mean, there always was. I remember, was it like the Pritikin diet, like Weight Watchers? Yeah. I remember hearing those things when I was a kid.
My mom was on all of them.
Right, and like the Jane Fonda workouts and all that.
Yeah.
And it's funny because as a kid, I just didn't grow up in a house where we talked about weight loss like that.
Oh.
So I just thought my mom did things because she liked them. But now I'm looking back and like, yeah, it probably was always pervasive in our culture. But you're right. Like, all I have to do is like literally open my phone
if you
to feel
like,
depressed.
Like if you want to feel like shit, you can do it in 10 seconds or less, like 5 seconds or less, because, and that's something our mothers didn't have to go through, and our aunts and stuff. So they didn't have that, which we do, which is like makes it, I think, a lot harder. Yeah. And yes, there's like always like the benefits of it, meaning like the conversation is started. Right. And now we can like be talking about it and we can like search for those like questions and answers on our own. But still, it's like hard.
Yeah, it also takes a little bit of catching up, because I remember when I first started seeing things on the internet, if you bring it to a doctor, a lot of doctors are like, that's just stuff that you see on the internet.
Yeah.
But now there's real doctors and real information, so it's also like trying to empower women in particular to say, you actually do know what's going on in your body. You're the best. You're the best record keeper of your body and your mood and all those things, not the guy that is supposed to tell you when you had your period last.
I sometimes feel bad for doctors because for them it's like a lose-lose, because they could just blame all of our symptoms on perimenopause when we actually could have like cancer. Because sometimes like you go to the doctor and you're like, well, I'm like having a lot of weight loss, or I'm having night sweats, or I'm having this, like that could be, you know, like all this, like they could write it off as that, you know, or we just get told that like we're hysterical and we don't know. Yes, we are the best gauge of what's going on in our body, but like things are being overlooked and not looked at enough. Like when you think about what we go in with our symptoms.
Right. In terms of the appearance stuff, you know, I think that's really interesting that you mentioned sort of the not feeling good about yourself can go hand in hand with this, and like wanting to balance that out. Living in LA is a real challenge.
Yes.
It's just like, it looks like an Instagram feed, you know, if you just go most places in Los Angeles. And I wonder, you know, you kind of once were interviewed and talked about that sort of, you know, as the best friend or as that sort of co-star role, you didn't feel as much, you know, kind of pressure.
Yeah.
But I think there definitely is a very pervasive notion of like what we're supposed to look like, what we're supposed to age like.
Yeah.
Can you talk about maybe some of your personal choices? We had Justine Bateman on, who's just like, everything's gorgeous, every line, every scar. And I'm like,
nope,
really?
Not there yet.
Yeah. Can you talk about it a little bit? Like most people I know start doing filler in their 20s, and
trying to think of when I started doing filler. I might have been in my 20s.
Okay.
I did all the things a couple times. But like I think I do the average amount of things. And I think that my personal vanity has more to do with like my personality and my DNA than my job, because I don't think I need to look a certain way for the roles that I play, thank God. I find that I feel more comfortable when I'm playing characters that are not supposed to be beautiful, like when I'm playing like sort of more of the everyman slash woman. When I play those like regular people is like where I feel the most free. And when I play someone who's supposed to be attractive, I do find that it like shatters my self-esteem. Like it's so much harder for me because I feel like I'm like getting all these different looks from like the gaffer at work, and the hair and makeup is in all the time, and they're adjusting a million lights and it takes forever to set up. Like, well, we need to really like, if you could like, I know it's weird, but if you could deliver your line that way, like that kind of stuff. And then I start to feel weird about myself, but I don't, but I don't know. I think it is easier to not be a movie star. I think there's a lot less pressure, and I don't necessarily like, but I do care a lot about how I look. And I think that's just like Judy vanity.
Mayim Bialik's breakdown is supported by Symbiotica.
Living a healthy life looks different for everyone. Being healthy for me is about taking care of my whole body in a way that makes sense for me by following a vegan diet, gluten-free actually also, and making time to move my body in a way that excites me. I like Kundalini yoga. I like Taekwondo. Symbiotica helps me do just that. We recently started taking Symbiotika's Magnesium L3 and 8. This is a daily must-have for supporting focus and mood. Jonathan's been talking about wanting to find a Magnesium L3 and 8. We found it. Their liquid magnesium packets utilize cutting-edge technology to deliver better absorption for better results. Keeps us feeling our best, and we are big fans of the yummy vanilla cream flavor. Symbiotica helps you maintain healthy habits all year long, no matter what your goals are. Their Magnesium L3 and 8 supports mood and memory. Their liquid travel side packets are perfect for when you're on the go. You just eat it directly from the packet. I throw a few in my bag, walk out the door, I'm all set. Symbiotica is one of the most trustworthy brands out there. They never compromise on quality and sourcing. Their products are free from seed oils, preservatives, toxins, and artificial additives. It's something you can taste and feel in every packet.
We're so excited to be starting our journey with Symbiotica, and we worked out an awesome offer for our listeners so you can try their products too. Go to symbiotica.com/break for 20% off and free shipping. That's
symbiotica.com/break to claim 20% off and free shipping today.
Mayim Bialik's breakdown is supported by BetterHelp.
Therapy is a big investment, but as we talk about frequently here on Mayim Bialik's breakdown, the state of your mind is just as important as your physical health. Let's talk numbers. Traditional in-person therapy can cost anywhere from $100 to $250 per session, which can add up fast. With BetterHelp Online Therapy, you can save on average up to 50% per session. With BetterHelp, you pay a flat fee for weekly sessions, saving you big on cost and on time. Therapy should feel accessible, not like a luxury. With online therapy, you get quality care at a price that makes sense and can help you with anything from anxiety to everyday stress. Your mental health is worth it, and now it's within your reach. I love therapy. I do not want to live without therapy, and I do use it for everything from anxiety to everyday stress. The whole lens of my world is shaped by the way I reason things out in therapy, and it's an invaluable tool. With over 30,000 therapists, BetterHelp's the world's largest online therapy platform, having served over 5 million people globally. It's convenient too. You can join a session with the click of a button, helping you fit therapy into your busy life, plus switch therapists at any time. Your well-being is worth it.
Visit betterhelp.com/break to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/break.
Speaking of vanity, you and I were on The Big Bang Theory the same season.
Yes.
I was in the season finale of season 3, and you had a hilarious episode also in season 3.
Sometimes I wonder if I've ever had another job.
Why?
Really?
Because I get recognized for that non-stop.
Wow.
Really?
Once a week.
Still.
It's
been a minute.
Oh, yeah.
And you've been in a lot of other things.
So many
Like
things.
200 things.
So many things. And yet.
People love The Big Bang Theory. I mean, it was also, talk a little bit about your character, because it was a very, very funny
I
turn.
just think it was because I was in my underwear.
You were also in your underwear, which sometimes happens.
Yes. And I'm wondering if I had not been in my underwear, if
But
I
you
would
were-
have been recognized as much for that.
But you're not walking around in your underwear. It's your face that's recognizable.
That's true. But I think it made an impression.
Got it. Talk a
Um,
little bit about the character, yeah.
She was like a horny scientist, basically.
Like they are.
Yeah. Turns out. I was gonna try to do that thing, but I don't know. Okay. I don't know you well enough to do that. That's what I remember of her, is that she was there for like a conference or something.
With
and
Sheldon, right.
Yes, and she wanted to have sex with Sheldon or anyone.
But Leonard ended up being the...
Yes. He was the taker. And I like had like fancy underpants on and came out.
Right.
And I remember that we pre-shot that scene.
Oh.
My memory, I should say.
You mean not in front of live audience?
Right. So then we had the live audience taping was on a Tuesday of that show. Was that a Tuesday
We were on
night
Fridays
taping?
by the time I got there, yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe it was. Anyway, but I know that because I'd pre-shot my underpants scene, that I ate like so much Taco Bell that night because I knew I didn't have to be in my underpants the next day.
Does it work like that?
No, but in my mind, it does. A lot of sodium in that food.
Right. So I was actually on Big Bang Theory, and we would go to lots of award shows and things, which was very exciting. And I had no idea, because the last time I had been on television, A, I was a teenager, and
my
B,
God.
it was the 90s, and
So
that wasn't a thing.
different.
So I
No.
learned during my time on Big Bang Theory, I learned that there are certain foods many women don't eat for like the week before an awards show.
Yeah,
What are these secrets?
just sodium.
Sodium. Because you get bloated.
Yeah, because you retain water. Yeah, like no soy sauce is a big one. I learned on a pilot I shot in Vancouver that I was up in Vancouver shooting this pilot. This was like 25 years ago or something. And my eye bag, like I was so puffy every single day. And I thought I was eating so healthy because every night I would go home and have sushi because there was like really good sushi in Vancouver. And I was having sushi every night. And like I would go to work the next morning and I was puffy, puffy, puffy. And my makeup artist was like, okay. Let's just break this down. Like, what are you eating? And I was like, this. And she's like, okay. And that, okay. And sushi, okay. Do you put in soy sauce? And I'm like, yeah. And so then she's like, okay, stop. So to this day, like I don't really eat a lot of sushi because I don't like to eat animals if I don't have to, but the soy sauce thing. But there's
Wow.
like soy sauce. I think I don't know if there's extra secret actress food, but for me it's anything that's like like carbs and water
yeah.
retention.
So what
Carbs and salt.
what do carbs do?
Well, they just I don't know. I guess, people go on these crazy no carb diets.
Right.
Like insane people. They don't eat carbs. So like where are you getting your fiber? Anyway, so you have like no carbs, and I think it's like a bloat thing. It's just
Okay.
all about bloating. I think you're really only gonna like lose about 5 pounds, and it's probably just gonna be water.
Right.
But for that scene or that night,
right.
that red
that
carpet,
dress,
yeah.
whatever, if you want your
Yeah.
riblets showing.
Yeah, I guess. And that seemed more important in my earlier years than now.
But it's interesting, like vanity aside, there's many foods that we eat that can not be good for us or for our skin.
Yeah.
So this is totally not interesting at all, but I'm going to talk about it
But
anyway.
he was riveted over the perimenopause.
I'm one of these people who always had tiny bumps on my upper
Yeah,
arms.
yeah.
Teeny tiny bumps. Not pimples. They're like
Yeah.
bumps. There's
There's a name for it.
There's a name. It's a form
obviously.
of eczema. But when I cut out soy and gluten, they went away. And this was my whole life. And every dermatologist is like, let's throw cortisone on it. Because they love to
Yeah.
put cortisone on everything.
I know.
Or you could do this, or you could do this treatment, or constantly moisturize, constantly exfoliate. Like always. And I was like, that's so interesting that that's what it was. And then I'm thinking, where else was it working in my body that maybe my body didn't like?
Yeah, because you
You don't have to answer
like,
that. I'm just saying.
Well, I don't know about your body, but definitely like inflammatory foods. Like
Yes.
those were 2 inflammatory foods for you that you probably didn't know. And you can like go on an anti-inflammatory food diet
Yes.
and like just get everything back to like ground zero, and then like add in, I mean, I'm not telling you guys anything you don't already know. But
Do you
like,
eat nightshades?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
Tomatoes. Like we're not supposed to eat tomatoes.
Eggplant.
I'm not like a eggplant fanatic, but
Right,
I
but those
would
are-
like to
what
prove
else
a
is-
point. I
Tomatoes
would.
are hard though, like pizza sauce and
I
any type
know.
of sauce. And
Yeah, and we eat
on
a lot of
tacos.
sauce.
It's what makes everything taste good.
Really, I know. I don't have a gluten allergy, but I had a witch doctor tell me once that I have antibodies for it. But
Oh
then,
yeah.
so she's like, something in your body is reacting to gluten. Just
Huh.
know that. And I was like, okay. And then a lot of my family has celiac disease,
Oh.
and so they were like, if you are not allergic to gluten, you need to keep eating gluten because
You will then get allergic
you will
to
become
gluten.
allergic to gluten and your life will get very difficult, especially when you think about like how much we travel for work.
Yeah.
And if I don't eat meat, then it's like try not eating gluten and meat in Ohio when I visit my family.
very difficult.
Like,
Very
yeah.
hard, especially on the road.
Yeah, right. On the road is really difficult. So I am like, even in times where maybe I do want to like chill out the inflammatory things in my body, like I will still have like a piece of toast.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't this fascinating?
It's fascinating for
I
me.
mean, I do like it though.
I mean, I'm curious, being in the industry and working the number of jobs you've worked, how have you not, or maybe you have experienced like the more crazy side of Hollywood health hacks?
Oh, I mean, I've seen them all, but I'm not
You haven't
engaging
you
in them.
haven't been, you haven't been recruited?
Um,
Or what are some of the crazier ones that you've maybe seen?
It's not crazy, but I did learn a little bit more on that, like before an event or before a big scene. Like someone told me, like not to drink any water. Like if you have to be in a bathing
That's
suit, or like
right.
don't drink any water that
No
day.
water.
And I'm like, what? That seems crazy to me, but it works, unfortunately.
Don't you get very
Um,
thirsty?
Yeah, but it'll look good. Again, I don't really do those roles anymore. But that I don't know. I mean, we could talk about the obvious thing that everyone's doing right now,
We could.
but
The O.
I'm
Or
really
what do they call it if people don't want to call it by its name? GLP. What is it? GLP-1?
GLP-1.
GLP-1.
I am working on myself to let go of judgment about people's decisions about that medication. I talk a lot about it to a woman once a week for 1 hour that I pay money to. And I'm like, if I could have you tally the amount of money I've spent just talking about my feelings about this.
I'm curious, what's sort of the crux of it? Is it that
Oh, I know, because I'm in your head.
You tell her what.
No, it's fine.
Tell me what because
I'll pay my own therapist to talk about it.
What is it? What do you think? I want to hear what.
I mean, look, I'm one of these kind of like, old school, hardcore, like we as women, I think in particular women in the industry, like we're told to embrace things because it's kind of convenient for everyone's pleasure for us to say we're on board with something, whether that's sexual harassment, whether it's being asked to be gratuitously naked, whether it's being asked to...
It's to play nice. We're told to play nice.
And
like,
then,
in every way.
Yeah, so to me, I feel, and also I also would like to release judgment, meaning everybody gets to do their thing.
I know.
But to me, it does make it harder, not just for me, but as a society, for there to be a normal spectrum of the human experience when it is becoming so mainstream to manufacture, a really unnatural expectation, especially for women. Did I say
no,
it?
Agreed. And I also think, like, furthermore, it is another way to like separate people and their this is the brain foggy part where I'm just gonna say words. So you know what
Vacuum.
I'm saying? Like to vacuum. Flashlight. Like it's another way to separate like communities economically from each other, which is something that like worries me still. So now you're seeing like yet another like class of people able to achieve this sort of like standard of beauty that we have been trying to tell ourselves doesn't exist. It is furthering potentially furthering like this patriarchal society of like women need to look young and be skinny in order to be accepted and beautiful. And like that scares me, you know? But at the same time, as far as like the releasing judgment is concerned, it's like I want people to fucking be happy and feel good about themselves. And however you can do it, like that's the thing I want. But I also noticed that until this drug became part of like the mainstream, um it's like we were working so hard on accepting bodies of all shapes and sizes and ages. And you go to a place that I guess we can't go to anymore called Target that has, you know, mannequins that are of all shapes and sizes. Like that was not the case when I was
No,
a
they
kid.
look like real people.
Yes, there's real people in the clothes. And I love that. And even in some of the websites that I visit and shop on, like have models of different sizes of like expensive clothes, like have models of all different shapes and sizes now wearing those clothes on the website, which I'm like, thank you. But also, I mean, I guess if we can feel better about it's not like, I guess to me, it just took like a systemic issue that we were working on. Just like we don't have to work on that anymore, which maybe is a good thing because maybe we need to work on like being more loving and stuff. Obviously I do, but like that we then can like focus our energies elsewhere. But it is kind of a bummer to think that like in this place where we live called Los Angeles and probably in New York and like a few other cities in the country, people can't afford this drug and they can look a certain way because they can afford it. But yet, like it is still not widely available to people who actually need it and to people like who just want it like we do, but we can buy it. And that bums me out for all those reasons.
I think it's extremely important, and the systemic issue that we were working on is like, it's a massive hit or setback to that issue.
It's like you're perfect the way you are, but you'd be more perfect if you just took this drug.
But then like also just like take this and you'll be skinny because skinny's better no matter what. And by the way, I feel that way because I was brought up to feel that way because we did talk about weight in my house. I'm an only child and my mother was never not on a diet. She was never not trying to lose weight. She was never not like complaining about her weight and talking about how fat she felt. And it was just like a constant, like that's in my cells of my body. Yeah. So like I can look at myself in the mirror and I have like two very different feelings about what I see in it. Like the like you are fat and old and the like you look fucking awesome. Like you look great. And so maybe you have to buy a bigger size of jeans, but like that is okay.
If you take away the people who actually need these drugs, the real brain fuck here is that the people who are using it who don't really need it are actually getting fatter, meaning they're losing muscle mass. And the percentage of their body that is fat.
I'm rolling my eyes.
That
people don't care. They just want to be skinny.
Yeah, but they're because
they'd rather be dead than not be skinny.
Well,
but that's what's happening. Yeah. They're losing muscle, so the percentage of their body that is fat versus muscle is actually increasing the percentage of fat. So they're skinny fat.
The great irony. I know. And also
I roll my eyes at it though. I do.
I think I also have a healthy dose of jealousy that I wish I could just be like, whatever, I'm just gonna take it and then I can lose the 10 pounds and like feel the way I want to feel about myself. Like I am jealous of that mindset. One thing also not to be overlooked for women is osteoporosis. And because women are now achieving the body size that they want without having to lift heavy weights to do it, and especially going back to the perimenopause, menopause conversation and how likely we are as women to get osteoporosis when our bone density shrinks. And then like when you're, you know, not lifting weights and you're not exercising, your bone density decreases, in which case you have osteoporosis and you break your hip when you trip on the rug because your dog moved it when she was running to get her treat.
So when you think, oh, I wish I could have that mindset to just take them, know that you're going to be able to get up out of your chair when you're 80 in a way that these other people will not be able to.
Wait, do you want to hear something a doctor told someone once? Just kidding. My mother-in-law, who I'm obsessed with, whose name is also Judy, she had to have a hip replacement surgery, but her hip replacing doctor told her, this, I'm sure you can look up.
Is the word surgeon that you were just looking for?
Surgeon. Her surgeon. Thank you. Flashlight and vacuum. He said that most elderly people who break their hips,
They die.
fall and break their hips. That's true. But what I'm about to tell you might potentially blow your mind. You fall down and you break your hip, right?
Yeah.
No. This one surgeon said that most older people break their hip and they fall when their hip
Oh.
spontaneously breaks. And then you're like, oh my God, I fell down and broke my hip. But actually, your hip breaks, you fall down. And now this is one doctor, but I liked him. He has twins. Can you imagine? Anyway, I know this because my mother-in-law likes to see the pictures. Like that was something that I was like, holy buckets, that changes even the way I think about like
Right.
bone density, osteoporosis.
You
like,
could just be standing in place.
you like literally could just like be reaching for your coffee and break your hip, and then you stand up and fall down, and you're like, oh my God, you fell and broke your hip. You hear it all the time.
Spontaneous hip
Hip breaking.
combustion, basically.
Seriously.
Jonathan's
I
had
know.
one hip replacement already.
It did not combust.
Can we maybe
You want to see the scar? No. Off
I-
camera.
feel like I'm headed for it? I'm
Oh.
having a lot of pain.
Oh.
Where did the pain start?
When he was in his 20s.
Ew.
Like where physically did it start?
Yeah.
I mean, mine was a long time coming. It was a congenital issue.
I'm sorry.
And I had no concept of it for a really long time. So I don't know that it's as easy to articulate. Like I was playing competitive basketball and sort of at the highest level of play when I was like really pushing myself, like the next day I'd be like, oh, this is really sore. Like I feel like I, pulled something.
like
and then
in your hip bone?
in the socket really is where I
Okay.
started to feel it.
Is yours not in the sock?
I don't know what's going on down here.
Mm.
There's a whole situation.
Just that side?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I will say that I was terrified of getting more information. And when I kind of got to the point where I called mine one day, I'm like, I think I need a new hip. She's like, you have no clue. You're way ahead of this. You don't know
yeah.
it.
I didn't know you had asked the universe and the universe told you need a new hip.
It
I
just
didn't
occurred
know.
to me at one point. I'm like, I think I need a new, and because I was 41 at the time.
He can
and
be
I,
a
like, it
little
was,
hyperbolic. So when he was like, I have to have a hip replacement, I was like,
I'm
let's
definitely
slow down.
I'm covered in tumors only on the left side in this region. And my husband's like, really, that's where we're going with this. You've been wearing high heels at work for weeks, but it's definitely tumors. I'm like, no, it's definitely tumors.
It's a good thing you can heal those quick.
It's terrible.
But even last night in bed, I was like, maybe I should just go and get the hip replacement. Like
No
I
imaging, no
never
imaging.
No imaging, no doctor visits.
Just do it.
Just the
Go to the
I'm
drive
gonna go
through.
for it. And then I woke up and like my husband's like, morning, honey. And I'm like, can you just get an MRI? Like, do I have to have a doctor ask for it? Or can I just go to the place in Koreatown where I get my MRIs and be like, yo, can we do my hip today?
You do need a doctor to order
Fuck.
that.
Why?
But
Because it's a
it's-
prescription.
It's pretty easy to get. And I will say that the best thing I did was get that information. And then the turnaround time to pop a new
like-
hip in there was pretty quick. And it was like significantly life changing.
I want this to
Then
go
it was a year
away.
of hell, but not your problem.
The rehab was not so easy, but
He doesn't
if you
take-
have to get a joint
He
replaced,
doesn't take narcotics. I think if he had taken the narcotics, it would have been
Oh.
easier, but then maybe harder.
Yeah. I don't know if I would take narcotics either.
I did like half a dose the first day and was like, this is not
No,
for me.
it's not for you or me.
But if you have to, if you have to get a joint replaced,
That's
that's the
the
best
one.
joint to
Okay.
get.
There's a gun to your head.
If there's, yeah.
You have to replace one joint now. I know if this happens to me tonight when I'm parking
I'd
my
go
car in the
like-
dark, I'm going to be like, hip, hip.
Oh my God. Okay,
Thank
sorry.
you for that.
I'm just laughing. Let's talk about another thing that changes when you get older that you've spoken about. I want to talk about alcohol, something I used to enjoy very
Me
much.
Too.
I used to love
Loved
it.
it.
I used to love it. And then
Your palms started getting
my
sweaty.
palms started getting itchy from drinking wine.
Yeah.
Like I grew a physical allergy.
Yeah.
And it was right around COVID time. Maybe there was an increased consumption in the years leading up to and including. I don't know. But it fucks up your sleep. I'm certain of that. It
Yeah.
fucks up your
That's
sleep. And it's at a certain
medically
age.
proven.
That's at a certain age,
Yes.
though.
Yes,
I
yes,
can't remember
yes.
when it was for me.
I think
I kept
it's-
drinking well after that. But anyway,
We all do.
when my palms started itching, which I believe was a hex that this witch doctor put on me, then it just wasn't worth it. And people started being like, it's the sulfate. Is the sulfate a thing?
No. You
So,
need
like,
all
try-
natural wine. You
And
need
I'm like,
yeah,
I'm like, you know
sulfate-free.
what? What I
know.
like is not feeling the way I'm feeling.
Yeah.
I don't like researching. I don't
Yeah.
like trying, testing, going to fancy places. I like Manischewitz with an ice cube. That's what
Really?
She's fancy.
Oh.
I always put ice. White wine, red wine, it
Yeah.
needs an ice cube. But then one day we stopped trying. And I would also like, when I was thinking back, like a lot of times, even when I was in my 20s and I was never really a super heavy drinker at that time. But when I would drink like a mixed drink, like a vodka, whatever, I would feel an ache go through my body, like a.
It's the demons.
It was, and what I've been told is like, that's
Some
a
people like-
toxin. It's
Yeah.
your body's seeing that stuff, and it would kind of pass, and I would have another drink and like whatever, and it was great. But what was your journey? Because at this point, I'm just like, it's just fucking not worth it. I can't deal with it, and it's not necessary to go down this road.
Yeah.
What was your sort of experience?
Different than you. Like, well, I don't think I have an allergy to alcohol. It sounds like you might actually have an allergy to alcohol, but like,
Thank you, Dr. Greer.
yeah, people need to listen to me. But I think that, well, my experience was that I love drinking alcohol and I love drinking loads of alcohol. And I love the feeling of like, between like starting to drink and like being buzzed. Like I like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked like my whole social life. Like most people's social life
Drinking.
is drinking.
Part of me has this theory that if you take away alcohol, people won't have friends, they won't have relationships. Like, it's why we kind of can have social lubricant as part of
Right.
our interaction.
So for me, pandemic. Like I was always like a super like heightened social drinker. So I was never one to necessarily like have drinks at home by myself. Like if I was home alone one night, like I wouldn't like, I'm gonna have wine or I'm gonna make myself a
the
cocktail.
best time to drink, Judy. No one can judge.
I thought if I didn't drink by myself, then it was okay.
Got it.
And
Okay.
I was like, well, it's not like I'm drinking at home. I'm
So
not
were you like drunk Judy at events?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Um,
I didn't know this about you.
Some people do.
Yeah.
No, I would drink at events and also like social anxiety, just like a lot of things. And then, of course, now we cut to the pandemic, right? When I think that was like, that first, like 2020 was just like, how early can we start? We didn't have kids at home. Like my stepkids had already moved out. So like it was just the two of us, and my husband was still working at the I mean, he's still working, but he was actually working during the pandemic. And so when he would finish his work day, which was earlier because of the pandemic, like we would start drinking. And so it was just like having like Zoom drinks with people, like every single night was like Zoom drinks with different people. And I don't know, it just kind of like really amped up in a way that like kind of was like, what am I doing? And all these other like the sleepless nights, like the panic, like the dread, like the anxiety, like all that stuff. And so then when it was 2021 and I'm like, we're going to do dry January. And then I was like, actually, I'm feeling really good. I'm going to keep not drinking. And so then I got a couple jobs, like my first jobs into the pandemic. And I was like, I think I'm just going to like not drink through these jobs. And then we had a planned trip with friends to Napa, and we've gone to Napa like
That's where all the wine is.
turns out. Anyway, we were going to Napa with friends, and I was like, well, I'm just gonna not drink till Napa, and it'll be a great reset for me, like just kind of like cool it.
Were you already feeling like there was something going on that needed a little bit of regulation, or were you still kind of coasting on the like, oh, I just won't drink?
I think probably I was thinking like, I don't know if this is really like great for me personally. I don't like this feeling. Like I think I was already kind of like, I think like alcohol for me was helpful with social anxiety, and it just kind of never like got regulated into like a thing I could take or leave. And it felt like a great reward because I work so hard and I work such long hours.
I just want to have a good time.
I just like deserve this. Like it's
Right.
the weekend or I'm on location and I don't know people. And like, that's like the hotel bar. Like we're all going to go out for drinks after work. And it was like, it's just really like, well, I shouldn't even say it's like baked into what we do because it's in it's just so pervasive. So anyway, I get into 2021 and I was like, okay, well, I'm going to drink on my Napa trip with my friends and then I'll have this like great reset and like I'll like calm down. And it had been like almost 6 months since I had drank. So I did. I went to Napa and did all the things that we normally do and like everything was fine and everything was fine for like a really long time. And then it was just like all of a sudden it was just like kind of coming back and I was just finding like more and more like that it was getting back to the way it was. And so I decided that this is a book that's referenced a lot. You've heard of Quitlet. Have you heard of this term?
No.
So it's a term that is used to describe books about like being sober or quitting.
Right.
And I've only just started to say I'm sober and not because I wasn't sober, but because it just stops the fucking conversation when I don't really want to talk about why I don't drink with strangers. And if you say you're sober, then they'll be like, oh, it's like I could be here, I could be in a ditch. Like I'm sober. But like, but I think it's just like, I'm just, anyway. So Quitlet is like these books about quitting drinking, quitting drugs, like quitting addictions. And so they've like kind of called it Quitlet. Someone decided that's what it's called. Anyway, there's
clever.
a famous one. It's fun, right?
Mhm.
Rhymes. So there's a famous one called This Naked Mind. Annie Grace. I listened to this book and there was something in it that like this one little thing she said stuck out to me, which was like, it's so much easier to just decide not to drink than to make all these rules for yourselves around like, okay, I'm going to have like one cocktail, one glass of wine, and that's it. Like to go into a social event and have all of these like rules that you have to like stick to. It's like, why? Like, why not just, and this is all sort of like addiction and sobriety and all those words aside, like that. I was like, I am making rules for myself. I am saying like, I'll have a martini and then I'll switch to white wine and then that's it. I'll have only white wine tonight. I will only drink one IPA and
It's
then
a lot
I'll
of
switch
mental
to
energy.
like I was spending so much energy on like trying to manage something that was just easier to be like, I don't drink. Not to mention, can I tell you how much money we have saved on Ubers? Like people are like, oh my God, you must like not spend any money drinking. I'm like, no, dude, I don't spend any money on Ubers anymore. Like that.
They say if you want to figure out why you're doing something, stop doing it. What did you notice? Because, for me, once I stopped drinking.
How long have you not?
I mean, it's been years. It's
Wow.
been years. Almost the whole time we've been doing this podcast, I'd say. After my divorce, I went through a pretty strong period. Like a strong period.
You earned that period.
No, but I guess that sort of would be my question for you, meaning like I just don't enjoy social things the same way. I just haven't really figured that out. You know what I mean? So I'm curious, like, what did you learn kind of about yourself when you stopped doing the thing that was that, liquid courage?
Yeah. I'm really learning so much still. I don't know. My therapist, who I'm obsessed with, is always just saying, like, we're just gathering information, aren't we? We're just gathering information. I learned, well, I like myself sober. Like, I like how I feel. I even like the times where I have low self-esteem. Like I like it because it's because the way I feel without alcohol or drugs at a low self-esteem moment is so much better than how I feel hungover the next day, like spiraling about like what I tried to do to overcome that low self-esteem moment. So it's like learning to sort of like sit in that dis-ease, that unease is like something I'm terrible at, but like it's a better feeling than that other feeling. Like
That's really interesting.
I still like the social events. I just don't like them for as long. Like I have a heart out. Like I'm like I can get into like everyone's like second round of drinks and then I'm like
Yeah.
but I also think like it's changed like how and who I want to spend my time with too. I mean, I guess it is like affecting social stuff, but like that is interesting to me. Like, oh, like how like who I want to be around, like whether they're drinking or not.
Does your husband still drink?
Mhm.
Got it. You still want
Yeah.
to be around him?
I do.
Good.
I do.
Get past
In
the
fact,
test.
sometimes I feel guilty, so I'm like, you need to order another drink so the waiter is like not mad that like, like probably.
No, that's a real thing though. Like when you say, "Oh, we're not drinking," the waiters just like looks at you like, "Oh."
Yeah, which is why like every non-alcoholic cocktail is now also $15. So I'm like, he still drinks, and that thank God that is fine. That is fine, and he is like, whatever you need, babe, like whatever you want to
It's
do.
really interesting.
He's very supportive of that decision, thankfully. I think in the beginning, a lot of our like sort of circle of party friends were sort of like side whispering, like, how long is she gonna do this for? Like, is this for okay? I mean, not we're fine, whatever. But like, is it?
She's still fun. I promise.
Look, I swear. And there was a trip with some friends that was happening, and like we were invited to go on it, and I was still sort of like, I think I'm just doing this, and I like went like on the side to the woman who was planning it, and I was like, look, I am like not planning on drinking on this trip, and I don't want to like take up the space. If you'd rather like invite somebody else, like please, it like will not hurt my feelings, and I will still feel so loved by you, but like I don't want to be there. If you'd rather just have it be like a more of a party thing, like, oh my God, no. Anyway, I was sort of secretly hoping that it would inspire some people to drink less because I am codependent, and it has not. So
Interesting.
Okay.
We should definitely circle back to codependency. But
Please.
I really like how you describe the feeling of being okay, feeling like anxious and insecure, and how that's actually better than the recovery from a hangover. And like I kind of see it like, oh, we have a feeling of disease, so we attack it or you know drown it in alcohol, and that like swings our emotions. So we're super extroverted and we're making all these connections, but then that goes away and we're left with a deeper drop. So it's almost like taking away the alcohol just kind of keeps us just more even, more level with ourselves, because we have to return back to ourselves anyway.
Yeah, like that's the one thing that's not going anywhere, you know, like that. Yes, it's always like gonna be me, you know, like no matter where you go, there you are. Like it's just that, like, what's the best worst feeling? Like the least, I don't know, the best,
least bad.
the best joint to have replaced. Like better to just be regular, like sad and blue than hangover sad and blue.
That's funny. Let's talk a little bit about codependency. You know, it's such a, you know, it's such a sexy word on the internet these days.
Melanie Beattie died.
We did an episode to see if Mayim and
She
I were
is
codependent.
no more codependent. Melanie.
Stop.
Wait.
No.
Melanie,
I will not do this to you. No, I won't. You can't. I'm stopping you. I'm protecting you from yourself.
I'm encouraging you.
Let's talk about a little bit about codependency. I mean, you mentioned Midwest and only child, which is like a little bit like two big check marks. Nothing against the Midwest, but when you are of a certain age, there is a particular culture clash, I think, if you're coming out of Detroit. You're from Detroit, is that right? Talk a bit about how did you earn your codependency?
Well, Mom, she'll never listen to this. I think I come from a long line of codependents. We're super good at it. I think that...
How do you define it also?
Well, I think where the line between me and another person is very blurry. And I was reading a book about narcissism, and I was like, "Ooh, wait, am I also narcissistic?" You can
be more than one.
I am an overachiever. It's true. I think that I have decided right now to define codependency for myself as having like a super blurry line between me and other people. And like I just spied your Mel Robbins Let Them over there, and I listened to that book. And it's such a great like book about codependency, really.
Detaching, yeah.
It is about detaching with love. And like that to me is something when I think about detaching with love, I think about like how to let everyone just like be in their own bubble and like enjoy them as they are. And so I guess one of the things I've really been trying to do in the last couple of years is like is strengthen and harden that line between me and other people so that like I don't think I want to not think I know better. I want to not like be so invested emotionally in like what the people in my life are doing and thinking and the decisions they're making. And so I guess that's how I would define it. And I think I come by it really naturally because, like I said, like I come from the Midwest and a big, big family on my mom's side, which is women, all types of women and ages of women who've been really influential over me. And we all like, we just really get in there. We just really want to get in there and figure out and solve the problems and move on. And I think that sometimes when you're like kind of type A, like you just like I can see it so clearly from the outside. I can fix it. And like also like that I can't be happy if someone that I love is unhappy. Like I'm not allowed to be happy if my husband is unhappy because then like that's not love. Like you're only really loving someone if you're like feeling the way that they're feeling, which is so untrue. But that's kind of how I think by accident I was taught to love.
And also the notion that it's okay to be a caregiver, it's okay to be loving, it's okay to be helpful, but doing for other people what they can and should be doing for themselves is not necessarily healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think ultimately it's really self-involved. And I mean,
It's the most selfish, selfless thing that you can
yeah. And I think I was taught something about being self-centered, and I was always so concerned with not being like an only child. Like only children are like so selfish and people, oh, I didn't even know you were an only child. Wow. And that's like a compliment. Like that's I don't present that way. And I'm like, yeah, see? Like, but I think I was always trying to sort of combat that definition of only child. And also like having a little bit of a blurry line with my mom growing up about like, is she my mom or is she my friend? Um, and and sometimes like needing a mom and needing, you know what I mean? And like, and I think it's great because we're so close, but at the same time, I think it taught me like to not always like have like strong definitions of relationships.
I mean, we want to be close with our parents, and yet sometimes you definitely need a parent. Like my son is an only son,
Yeah.
only child, and sometimes I'll turn to him. I'm like, dude, I'm not your buddy all
Yeah,
the time. Like
yeah.
sometimes, like you need to do what I tell you.
We do.
If you're friends with a codependent, we will also tell you what to do, even if we're not your parent. I want to touch on Eric LaRue, which is coming out April 4th, and it's directed by Michael Shannon.
Yes.
This is a different kind of role than we've seen you in. You know,
Broad
much of your
comedy.
career,
Just
which,
kidding.
you know, much of your career, you know, you're kind of that actress that like has been in like, oh my gosh, I've seen her in, and you can list a dozen things off the top of your head, even
Yeah.
if you're in menopause. You can list like a dozen things, and obviously Arrested Development, like things that really like have gained you tremendous like love, attention, affection, and that one episode of Big Bang Theory. But this is a very dramatic, very significant, emotional kind of piece.
Yeah.
What was it like to take this kind of part?
It was scary. I was scared, but I trust Michael Shannon, the director. I trust Mike so much. I mean, I trust him now so much, but like we had worked together a couple times. We were friends. And so when he sent me the script and wanted me to play it, and like it was his directorial debut. So he actually, that's not true because he directs a lot of theater, but like his first movie. And I was so incredibly flattered. And like Mike has access to like, I think every actress he could have asked to do this. So I was like hugely flattered. And just like being asked to do it, like they say, like, it's just an honor to be nominated. But even like I got to do it, but like just the fact that he wanted me to do it, I was like, I are like done. Like I already got like that feeling of like, wow, they like me. They really anyway, I respected him so much as an artist for so long. So that was huge. And then playing the role, like once we all got there, like all of us actors, and we were in Wilmington, North Carolina, and it was kind of like the old days of making movies. We all stayed in the same hotel. Like we all went to work together and came home together. Like we had dinner together every night. Like it's now different, like because you go on location and you rent an Airbnb and like you bring your kids or like what it's like we're all just like now it just used to be that we were all together like summer camp. So it felt like that again. And the work was really tough, but I learned a lot. I mean, the movie is really about grief and about processing grief. And I don't know, it opened my eyes to like the different versions of grief that there are, and what we see and what we imagine is the biggest grief is it's different. It's not just always one version.
Yeah, that's one of the things I wanted to ask about, because the film is, it's from the perspective of parents whose son has committed a horrendous and very, very disturbing act of violence.
Yeah.
And what I think is so interesting is it really is kind of slicing grief into all of these different pieces that even in a couple, right, even in a unified front, you can have such a distinct and specific reaction. Yeah, can you talk a little bit about just sort of as an actress, what that process was also like?
Well, it was, I guess when I look back on it now and I think of grief, what I was interested in about it while we were shooting it was the role of the church in the recovery of these people in this community. And because I was raised in a couple different churches with a little bit like a lot of different religious experiences, like that was really interesting to me, and how people look for guidance. And because I'm from the Midwest, I mean, I've lived here now longer than I've lived in the Midwest, but what, like, I don't want to sound like a jerk, but like what we think happens on the coasts is not really, well, we know that because of the election, is not really indicative of what's actually going on in the country as a whole. And people really like do try to rely on a church. They rely like that's a big part of people's lives, and that's where they go for solace and for comfort. And that was so interesting to me when we were making the movie. It was interesting to me that these people, because I don't often play people who look to the church for help. And that was what was interesting to me about the community that we were creating, and these two characters, that they were both looking at different churches for help, and these churches had different ways to try to provide comfort for their community and their followers. Like one church is like everything is divine and this was God's plan, and this was, he wanted this to happen for some reason and we won't know. And then the other church, and the other version of comfort through a church, is like, God doesn't do terrible things, but the church is here to help you through what happens. And like I found that to be really interesting, because when I grew up, there was so much religion in my childhood and it never provided any comfort for me. And like now that I'm older, like I would like that. Like I was interested in this version of trying to find help for grief and telling the story. And it was like kind of hard to go back in time and think about that and see the church from this point of view. I don't know if that answered your question.
Yeah. And also, like, just, I can't help it. Your mom had a stint as a nun,
It was a
speaking of
stint,
the religion.
yes. She claims that my father is her first husband, but that cannot be the case if she
Yeah.
married God first. And I like to remind her of that often. And she's like, "Stop it!" I'm like, "But
How
technically,
long
Dad's
did
not
she
your
nun?
first husband." She officially nunned for 4 years.
Oh.
She did 4 years of nun high school and 4 years of official nunning until she got respectfully asked to leave the convent. And then she went to nursing school and became a nurse. And while she was in nursing school, she met my dad.
Wow.
So she-
Respectfully asked to leave?
What my mom said is that the Mother Superior thought she would be better at serving God in a more secular environment.
That sounds very politically correct.
That sounds like you're doing things that don't feel nunning.
She had a red bathing suit, she said, and she was, they said she was vain,
Oh.
which,
It's a sin.
yeah, those were the things that
When were they seeing her red bathing suit?
one of the parishioners had a pool.
No.
And so the parishioner said, like, "Oh, it's really hot. This is Ohio in the summertime. Like, if you guys want to come swimming, you can come in our pool." And I guess like all the other nuns had like
black.
nun bathing suits. And my mom was like, "Dope. I'm getting a red bathing suit because I love the color red." And they're like, "Whoa." And I think like
That's it. Out you go.
You're out. We knew it. But yes, that was one of many symbols of
Got it.
vanity.
I mean, the moment is your mom standing about to choose the right bathing suit to buy
Mhm.
before she even has that.
Can you tell he's a screenwriter?
But for that moment, you wouldn't be here. If she had gone,
She'd gone black bathing suit. I'd like to think I would have anyway. I'm imagining the moment for me is like the head to toe habit
Yes.
just coming off and the red bathing suit.
They're
being
lucky
underneath.
she had a bathing
Yeah.
suit at all.
I mean,
I'm curious about how you find a character like this. I, tend to think of things a little bit, from a metaphysical standpoint, and I'm like wondering when you're walking in or like starting to read that character and sort of like taking on that role. Like, do you know when you find it? Does it feel different to you? That's part one, and part two is like, how do you distance yourself after you've inhabited someone who is playing that type of grief? Do you feel like it sticks with you, or do you kind of have to cleanse it out of you?
It's funny that you asked part two because I just wrapped last night. Like most of the TV show that I'm shooting in this last week has been just like super heavy, super dramatic stuff, like really intense emotional scenes. And I was like coming here today and I was like, I feel like I've been through a trauma. Like I feel like, and then not like we're the real heroes or anything, but like, but I'm like, I wonder if there is any validity to, and I know I'm an actor, but like to putting myself through things emotionally that, because I also feel really puffy and I'm like, I think I'm holding, like, I think I have a lot of cortisol in my body right now. Like, I think I'm holding onto a lot of stress and adrenaline, cortisol, like that is like making me just feel like, and I think it's because my body, I had an acting teacher in college say, like, if you need to cry, just like start pretending to cry. Your body will remember crying and it'll just cry. And that doesn't totally work, by the way, but like sometimes it does. And your body kind of remembers. Like you can probably just make yourself throw up by like trying to make yourself throw up, right? Like just pretending to throw up and then maybe, I don't know. Anyway, my point is this. The body could potentially think it's been through the trauma that this character has been through.
100%.
Brain doesn't know the difference.
Yeah. So I think I actually sort of like have been through a trauma in a way. Anyhow.
I'm glad you're in therapy.
Do you think I need it? Am I wasting money? The first question, I think I don't the first part, like how do I?
Let's stay with the second part for a
Okay.
second, because it's true. The brain or the body doesn't know the difference.
Right.
The more experts we talk to, the body's physiological mechanisms are going to respond to whatever the brain
Well, it's the whole
is generating. And if the brain is generating those scenes where you're deep in character and for those moments you are experiencing that, then it would make sense that the aftermath would be like, oh, I just went through something. Like there's probably some divide, but like not a full divide.
Yeah.
It's the basis of
I
like when
don't
people
think
talk about
so.
manifesting, right? You're placing yourself in the present tense of I am experiencing all the things you want to experience because you're tricking your brain into believing that you are healthy, you are abundant, you are loved. So yeah, I think for actors, that's a little bit of what it's like. It's,
And then what is that reset process? How do you sort of do both repair and then also tell your body that you're not in that state anymore because you're now in whatever other state you're in?
I weirdly think I need to actually like tell my body that that didn't really happen. Like I think I need to and people are like, oh, I need a massage or go to a spa or whatever. But I think that it's like, yes, it's like, oh, I have to go have a spa day to but I think it is about having a spa day. It is about like whatever version of like telling my body like that didn't happen to me. I am okay. I will let that go and not let that sit inside of my cells. I mean, like I will go through like shooting a movie for a couple months and I'll come home and immediately get sick. And it's like, of course I'm getting sick. Of course my body's like, okay. I mean, just like on the day, like I have like a playlist I would listen to called Drive Home Happy. My phone is not there, so I don't know why I pointed at my water. Drive Home Happy. And I would listen to it when I was driving home from work every day on Eric LaRue specifically. I made it because it was like Beyonce and Taylor Swift and just like happy songs that I would listen to and be like, woo, okay. Like today was so fun. And like get like my wiggles out that way.
Part one of the question, the way that I imagine it is that a character exists that you created.
Yes.
And I imagine it in two different ways. One is you start to read this character on the page and you start to build pieces of it, and then eventually it all comes together.
Mm-hmm.
Or you start to read this character and you kind of just almost channel it and then express it during the scenes. And so, because I think, and again, I'm making all this up, I'm not an actor whatsoever, but I think that, especially when it's a very intense role that has an enormous amount of emotional complexity, the Judy of you, who is not that character, it would be uncomfortable to step into that. So you wouldn't just kind of like there has to be some sort of transition. And I guess I wonder, do you find it, or you found it when you start to do takes and it sort of comes to life, or do you feel like before you're actually on set, you sort of know that you have it?
I think it depends on the project and the actual workspace that I'm in. And sometimes it's that I have it going into it, and sometimes it happens while I'm there. Sometimes if I'm shooting something and you may agree with this too, but like that when I'm shooting something, it like takes a week to get into it, and then all of a sudden I'm there. So sometimes it's like a combo pack of the two things that you said, where it's like I know that I can access this, I know where this like lives in my body and like through Judy, but like I go and I'm like, oh, now I'm seeing like what they want from it, and I'm also like now here and I'm saying the words out loud and I'm seeing like how they're coming out of my mouth and like if they're feeling real or not. And like the best version is like when I don't really have to. The best version is like that there's enough of me in it that I don't have to work so hard to get there. And it's like just the version of me that this person is. And when it's a great script, like Eric LaRue is such a great script. It was actually a play that they turned into a movie that like it was so easy. Like I didn't have to do any like tricks. It's just like being in those scenes was so was just like on the page because I didn't have to like make up things.
Also, I think it depends. I mean, he's never asked me this, but I'm going to answer it too.
It's good.
I think it also depends on you can have it one way when you're by yourself and when you're reading the script. And when you get into a dynamic with the other people, you're then intersecting with the people that they're creating.
Mm-hmm.
I did a Jim Jarmusch movie last year, and it was me and Adam Driver. Like most of all my scenes was me and Adam Driver and also Tom Waits. And I had this like whole idea, and like I worked with my coach, like shout out to Ren Bell. Like I worked with Ren, and like we like had it, and like, oh, we're gonna do it like this is a little bit lighter touch, Mayim, and like now we're gonna do like a little bit more intense, and like what if Jim Jarmusch wants like a really deeply quirky, I had all the options open. And then like the first time I sat at a table reading, I was like, oh, Adam has a whole way that he's doing this character. Mine doesn't match it anymore.
Right.
And I'm gonna follow his lead, like just good hunch. But it became a different amalgamation of the things that I thought, the things that I worked on, and then the things that it becomes when you're then in the dynamic and it's 25 degrees and you're wearing the boots and the hand warmers and you're standing outside in the cold. And that's this, like everything kind of takes on its own, but it's a matrix that you're in. It's not just, kind of you
Yeah.
by yourself.
Because you you can prepare as much as you can prepare, but then when you get there, and this is why preparation is so important, that you have something that you can hold on to if you need to, but you can let go.
Yeah.
And no, I'm learning to be better at letting a director tell me the tone, because back to being codependent, it's I know what I'm doing, but it's a director's job to make sure that I am in the same movie as everybody else, that we're all making the same movie, that my movie is not different from his movie.
Which is hard though, because as a comedic actress, right? And especially if you've done, for me, I do television, going from
oh my God,
a television set to a Jim Jarmusch set, I was like, why am I here? What is happening?
Yeah.
Because I'm used to everything happening really quickly. You've got 3 seconds to process. Once the camera switches to you, you've already gone through the process. You can deliver the punchline.
Yes.
Right? It's very different. Before we let you go, and you mentioned Taylor Swift, we have to talk about it. I'd like to know, what's your Taylor Swift story? Did you just happen to understand that she became part of the vernacular of music and it just clicked with you? Do you have a specific connection point?
The pandemic.
Oh.
I think it was Folklore.
Hmm.
Folklore, I've been a fan. I loved her music, but when Folklore came out, I think I'm ashamed to say was when I decided, I kind of had really a lot of respect for her as an artist, more so than a machine. And I think I'm ashamed to think of her as a machine leading up to that, especially when you start to learn about that she writes just everything she does.
The documentary was very helpful for me.
Also, The Cat in the Backpack. Thank you. But when Folklore came out, it was more my kind of music, and also I just thought it was so beautiful, and I don't know. Also we were home, and I just listened to it over and over and over, and then. Like I said, I'd already loved the previous stuff, but then I went back and really dove back in. And then when she came to town, I took my stepdaughter and we went to see her. And it was this really I remember at one point, and Emily's 28 now, so whatever, 26 or something. But she looked at me and she was like, I feel like I'm watching my entire childhood unfold in front of me, during the concert, which I was like, wow, for this girl, for my Emily, this is her life, because she probably doesn't totally remember when there wasn't this,
Right.
for her own choice of her own music. I mean, you know what I mean? Not just listening to what her dad
It's
listened
the
to
voice
stuff.
of a generation that then obviously
Literally, and watching her and seeing that through her eyes was really cool. And so, and I love I don't know, why can we just love her?
Oh, I do.
I mean, me too.
I mean, we switched over to Taylor's version. We only listen to Taylor's version now,
Well,
of everything.
obviously.
I know. But
We had to
someti-
rebuy all those records.
but
It
I
was
know
not cheap.
It was not cheap to be a Swiftie
No.
at that moment in time. Yeah. Just
Love.
wanted to touch on that.
Yeah.
We're
And
huge
I
fans
think
over here.
she's really special.
Yeah, I did a show. After Big Bang Theory, I did a show for 3 years called Call Me Cat, and it was about a woman who runs a cat
Yes!
cafe.
Yes,
And
you did.
We kept dropping Swiftie hints, but we couldn't get a retweet. We'll just
Damn
keep
it!
trying. I know, but
Let's
I don't think it's
stop
over.
dropping
I
hints.
feel look, I was a very different kind of TV icon in my teens, very different TV. I'm not comparing myself to Taylor Swift.
I grew up next to you.
Well, we're the same age.
Hello.
It's kind of cute. But part of me is kind of fascinated by this, her as a generational movement.
Yes. Who was our?
I think she and I need to be in conversation.
I don't
but
know
I don't
why she's not here. If she does
You get
hers
Wil
with Wil
Wheaton.
Wheaton, I will be so pissed. If Will gets to do it with Taylor Swift, I will
She's
never
coming
And
out
I'll
not
be
do
like,
Tuesday.
that.
Judy Greer looks so much like Taylor Swift and Wil Wheaton.
But who was our Taylor Swift? Madonna?
Well, here's the thing. for us, no, it was Ani DeFranco. It was the girl left out of all the parties.
It was the Lilith
and like
fair.
Alanis was also like, we
Yeah.
like smoke cigarettes, and we're like,
yeah.
And Taylor Swift is the girl who gets invited to all the parties and still gets to say it still sucks to be objectified.
Oh,
It still
that's-
sucks to be, but it's a very different lens than our generation, which was like, I got long hair and I don't shave,
Like, if you don't like me, I'm going to make you not like me.
Correct.
Like, I'm not even going to try.
Right. No,
Yeah.
it was, our generation was like, Nirvana was counterculture. Like,
I
Urban
know.
Outfitters didn't exist. We just like shopped at Aardvarks because like you could get $5 clothing. I know.
Oh my God. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. Anytime.
I remember there was an Urban Outfitters in Ann Arbor, Michigan, which I would go to sometimes, like just to go to the coffee shop and the bead store, duh. Even though it took me like 40 minutes to get there. And there was an Urban Outfitters there. And I remember thinking, like, if I could buy clothes here one day, like, I'll never need anything ever again. Like, if I could only shop here. And then I remember taking, again with my stepdaughter, I took her to New York City for the first time to see Wicked on Broadway when she was in high school. And she wanted to go to the Urban Outfitters in New York City. And I was like, there's like so many things. Like, we have Urban Outfitters at the mall at home. But it was like, but I also understood like the comfort of like seeing the thing that I know in this new place. And then I loved Urban Outfitters so much. Some things don't really change. But yes, that's right. It was like Ani DeFranco. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking
Edie
of
Brickell, it was
like,
like a whole
oh
different
my
vibe.
God. By the way, we a couple
Before
years
she was married to
ago.
Paul Simon.
Yeah, when she like made awesome music.
I saw her at the Will Turn.
Me too. I was there.
What?
We were
Whoa.
probably there at the same time.
We were probably holding hands and hugging at the
Did
same
you
time.
get the T-shirt?
I don't have the T-shirt, but I have the music book because I used to play it on piano and bass guitar. Oh my God.
My husband pulled that out of we were at a record store in San Francisco
Great
not too
album.
long ago, and he pulled out, and he was like, "Do we have we should have this, right?" And I was like,
Shooting
and so
over
we
Hands
bought
at the
it.
Stars.
Yep. And every time someone came over to our house, we would be like, "Oh, we just got this record," and then like we would put it on in conversation, and then eventually the conversation would stop, and it would just be like a full hour of like all of us just like, yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
It was different. Very
it's
different.
different.
It's been such a pleasure to talk to
don't
you.
wanna go.
I know. But it's
But I
time to go.
must.
It's time to go. You have to return to your other iteration of the universe that exists outside of this room. Thank you so much. We hope that people will check out Eric LaRue. Anything else you want to tell people about that they should look for?
I mean, I'm just so excited about Eric LaRue. I mean, I also just want to like shamelessly plug like indie film and going to movie theaters. That's wrapped up in my campaign for seeing this
Yeah.
movie and the story that's being told and the performances, but also just like if you have 2 hours,
Get off your
Wil Wheaton,
streamers.
I'm thinking of you right now. I know he had 2 hours this morning.
Terrible.
But I was just, please, and if it's not even, just please go to the movies, please.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Really great to talk to you. I don't want to put too much pressure on Judy to talk about this in depth, but I wanted to talk a bit more about what she said about sort of feeling, a sense of trauma after doing days and days of very emotionally intense work. I think to some extent, obviously, you can fool the brain. I think of, being a performer as kind of an elaborate, dissociative identity disorder.
Mhm.
You are taking on another persona. And I think about actors who are method, actors who stay in character, right? Daniel Day-Lewis famously does this. Name another, Gary Oldman, Leonardo DiCaprio, we've heard does it. I don't know if I've heard of any females that are methody. But that notion of really immersing yourself. I have a friend who's Australian, and when she works on a film where she doesn't need to use that accent, even off camera, she sometimes cannot get her Australian accent back. Like you're putting yourself in a different milieu, as it were.
There have been studies of people who have multiple identities where one of the identities will have a certain health problem that another one
Totally.
doesn't. So
yeah, blood pressure changes, all these things.
the brain doesn't know the difference. So I think there's a whole area for actors in terms of resetting out of a role to sort of reestablish who they are as on their baseline.
Have you ever been in a relationship where you felt like you were a different version of yourself? And when you
Or
left,
they were a different version of themselves.
or when a relationship ended, that you had to recalibrate, that you had to re-remember the things that you enjoy, the things that you like doing. A lot of us discard, personal progress or hobbies when we're immersed in a relationship, especially a codependent one. It's kind of making me think, gosh, we're all sort of in different states of fluidity. Actors do it for the entertainment of other people. And for thousands of years, we have enjoyed people making us laugh. We have enjoyed poking fun at things that don't make sense in society with satire and these sorts of things. So it is something that we're kind of ingrained to be interested in watching other people do. And for the viewer, it can be very cathartic to see someone going through something. It can help you process, but at what cost?
Very good question.
Such a treat to get to talk to Judy Greer. I've kind of seen her in things here and there and all over, but I've never really listened to interviews with her, and just feel like we got such a special opportunity to talk to her. Stuff about alcohol was fascinating to me, and her insight about aging, especially in the industry, I just really, really appreciated. So that's it from our breakdown to the one who hope you never have. We'll see you next time.
It's Mayim Bialik's breakdown. She's gonna break it down for you. She's got a neuroscience PhD or two. One fiction, one and now she's gonna break down